Rangers. Welcome home.
Alpha 5 Explained, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Terry and this is Marvelous Videos. Today we're going to explore the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and talk about none other than Alpha 5 himself and what makes him the most human-like robot of all time.
Access granted. I've done it. I'm in. Computer, begin search of Sector 10Q9.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers premiere episode features Alpha 5 making his debut. The talking machine served as Zordon's right-hand man and a crucial ally for the Power Rangers as they battled the forces of darkness. He remained throughout the first 3 seasons, even helping and advising the Turbo teams and the Power Rangers Zeo. There's a lot to learn about Alpha 5, one of the Power Rangers' most dependable confidants, apart from the fact that he uses high-tech equipment to save the day and calls out "ay ay ay ay" while under pressure.
Alpha, activate the intergalactic scanners.
Right away, Zordon.
Despite being a robot, Alpha 5 surprisingly exhibits a broad spectrum of emotions that give him a highly human-like quality. He spent most of his time working in the command center, leaving just 3 times, and nearly always followed Zordon's instructions. But who is Alpha 5 and what makes him so unique? Let's find out more about him in detail. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin.
No, not that. Not teenagers.
That's correct, Alpha.
I was afraid of that.
Who is Alpha 5? Alpha 5 is a character from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV series, as you know. He's the Power Rangers' robotic helper who lives in the command center, their center of operations, with their master, Zordon. He's an entirely self-aware artificial intelligence. The series' recurrent supporting character, Alpha 5, is a member of the Power Rangers. He's in charge of keeping the command center up to date and supporting the Rangers' communications needs when they're on operations. He creates weapons for the Rangers to employ against their enemies while also acting as their technician. His head is shaped like a golden spaceship, and when he speaks, a visor illuminates.
This is easy. I just have to reflux the... Uh-oh. No, stop.
An inverted yellow stylized lightning bolt resembling the Power Rangers Bolt of Lightning insignia is also one of his visual cues. It's located on his chest. The personality of the character is portrayed as an innocent and childlike being. When the Power Rangers really want to spend some time with him, he frequently acts like a fictitious younger sibling. King Lexion created the fully sentient, multifunctional automaton known as Alpha thousands of years ago on the planet called Edenoi. His memory banks are filled with beautiful recollections of that world, but we never get to see those memories. Thus, we're unable to understand what his early life was like there. Lerigot, the magician of Liaria, is a close friend of Alpha's from his time while living on Edenoi. However, there's never been any mention of how and when they first met. He replaces Alpha 4 as the second Alpha automaton working for Zordon, who's also speculated to have been constructed by the Edenite monarch. Later, Zordon became his loyal helper and substituted for his inventor and father, King Lexion of Edenoi, by befriending and adopting him. However, Alpha adds that the king brought him together and reared him as if he were his own son. Thus, Alpha 5 helped Zordon create both the command center and the first Power Rangers. Prior to the release of Rita Repulsa, Alpha was in a shutdown state. On Zordon's instructions, a new and robust Power Rangers squad was assembled, with the help of Billy Cranston, Zach Taylor, Trini Kwan, Jason Scott, and Kimberly Hart. From that point on, he served as the Power Rangers advisor, mechanic, tech guru, and all-round buddy, from the Power Rangers Turbo up to Mighty Morphin. Zordon and the Rangers both loved Alpha, who even served as Tommy's only tutor during his time as a Wicked Ranger, while Zordon was away in another reality.
And so, Rita intends to destroy...
In the comic series, Alpha was completely destroyed in the wreckage when the command center was crushed, with just his head remaining. Rita talked with Alpha as she was seated on her royal throne, telling him that serving her would have been preferable to serving the ancient sage out of blind loyalty. His visor eye started to illuminate, indicating that he was still operational, and she cruelly ordered that his body be melted down and made into a bedside lamp. Rita and Finster then reprogrammed him, but he's eventually saved by the Rangers and restored to perfect condition, proving that Rita never actually carried out her promise to melt down Alpha's body. He later exchanged many messages with the Rangers. Later, he was the pterodactyl Dinozord's pilot. However, the Rangers seldom spent much time with Alpha due to their responsibilities as the Guardians of Angel Grove, which grieved him in the TV show. After being turned evil by Finster's charisma-altering disc when his inner hatred took over his central processor, his sorrow and devotion to Zordon and the Rangers came back. Alpha is never allowed to leave the power chamber / command center and is always left there alone. This sparks his eventual inclination towards evilness. Rita had Finster cast a love spell on him to make him fall deeply in love with her as she came back to the Moon Palace after being exiled by Lord Zed at the very beginning of Season 2. Zed had Finster rebuild his greatest monsters to kill the Power Rangers as a wedding present when they decided to create a gift. Alpha was left in command when Zordon temporarily went to sleep. Alpha went outside the power chamber to gather flowers, but the putties emerged and grabbed him as Finster slipped a disc into his back, turning him evil. Zordon recognized this change when he came inside and attempted to stop him. Still, Alpha changed his appearance to make him appear sillier before silencing him, as well as teleporting all of the Power Rangers, who were in Australia, to the Spectre Theater, where their weapons wouldn't be available. They were unable to teleport out. Later, after they departed, the Rhino Blaster and the Pexter vanquished the Power Rangers in their Zords, while Zordon tried to talk to Alpha once more, but he terminated the line and transferred them back to the Spectre Theater. Fortunately, the Power Rangers managed to fool the two monsters and escape, returning to the command center where Alpha made an effort to act normal. Billy, however, saw the infected disc and took it out, which got rid of the infection and reset Alpha back to normal. All of this happens in the television series. But in the comic narrative, Rita explicitly alludes to some sort of history associated with Alpha, after she says that he may have served her better than Zordon in a brief conversation. While it's possible that future episodes of the television series may address this, it's also possible that it's a reference to the time Finster and Rita turned Alpha evil. He became totally devoted to her because the virus had reprogrammed him. Alpha 5 was substituted by Alpha 6, his brother, who Zordon had programmed in the command center before he left, when the chance to travel to the planet Eltar presented itself. When he and Zordon returned to see the experienced Rangers pass on their talents in the episode called Passing the Torch, it was his last appearance. Oddly, he was still in his older robot body rather than his newer, shinier one. Since then, there have been no sightings of Alpha 5. Amit Baumik, the author of Wild Force, has said that he believes Alpha was destroyed during the conflict when Dark Spectre attacked the planet Eltar. However, there's no official evidence of this. Some series fans think he survived but fled and went into hiding. Richard Horvitz could still perform Alpha's voice, and both the cast and the audience still cherish and remember Alpha. Baumik implied that Alpha 5 was actually Alpha 7, but that he'd been strengthened and given a database function. In the television series, Alpha 5 is shown in A History of the Power Rangers written by Tommy Oliver not long after he found the Dino Rangers, which the burgeoning Ranger team discovers in the Dino Lab. Tommy doesn't mention Alpha's present whereabouts though. This Alpha may have had a star system named after him, but he is sadly destroyed by a gang of high-class alien criminals led by Janika, Delapu, and Chiago on the orders of an intergalactic armaments dealer named Broodwing. But this is not left unavenged, especially with the help of the B Squad Rangers, particularly Bridge Carson.
That was a wonderful rest, but it's great to be up and running again.
We've got a lot of catching up.
Development of the character. Alpha's catchphrase was created during the production of the Power Rangers series by Richard Horvitz, who is credited as Richard Wood. In the episode Forever Red, the Power Rangers Wild Force, Horvitz also provided the voice of Alpha 5's eventual replacement, Alpha 7. For 89 episodes in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series and the Alpha's Magical Christmas Holiday Special, Romy J. Schaaf technically portrayed Alpha 5. In the second and third seasons, Sandy Selner depicted Alpha for 45 episodes. For the remaining of Alpha 5's performances in the series, Doneen Kistler, who was also the show's production assistant, took over. Later, Kistler would play Alpha 6, the replacement for Alpha 5 in the Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Turbo television series. Significant appearances in TV series. Alpha 5 made his television debut in the pilot episode of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and supported the show's main characters. Alpha 5 has periodically been engaged in direct encounters with hostile troops, despite the fact that he's not a warrior. Rita dispatched the indoctrinated Green Ranger to the command center in Green with Evil Part 1. He inserted a malicious CD-ROM into Alpha's internal workings, causing him to spasm violently. In one of the episodes, Alpha 5 departed the power chamber on Zordon's orders to find the Singing Squash, a mystical object that may be used to break a curse on Kimberly and Billy. He came upon a putty patrol from Rita, but he was able to defeat them by using the magical squash and his internal defenses. Alpha subsequently trapped the Green Ranger in a force field after Billy fixed his circuitry and eliminated the infection, but Rita freed him before Alpha could expose his identity.
I need help, Power Rangers.
Affirmative.
Power Rangers, you're here!
Alpha ran across Lord Zedd's army 3 times in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. When he went to save a young child who got lost in Angel Grove Park in The Wannabe Ranger, the Primata, a gorilla monster that could take on several forms, attacked him. He pretended to be Billy and tried to get Alpha to take him to the power chamber.
You're not Billy!
The Rangers had to disable Alpha's self-destruct sequence since he turned it on to defend the command center, but he was unable to stop it once the Primata fled. Later in this season, he left the power chamber to free the Rangers. They'd been imprisoned within an image by the Photomare demon after being transformed into toddlers and having experienced regression. Both Goldar and Photomare approached Alpha in his effort to take the picture, but he froze both bad guys using a gadget he had and escaped. He was attacked by the Putties and Finster when he went on a stroll outside the power chamber in The Wedding towards the end of this season. Finster put a disc into Alpha's circuits just like the Green Ranger had, but this CD changed Alpha into a malicious, annoying brat who helped Zedd and Rita by enticing the Rangers into an abandoned theater, which Finster continued to fill with monsters. Alpha separated the Thunderzords and Zordon from the Rangers as well. When Zordon begs Alpha to stop irritating him, Alpha first changes Zordon's appearance humorously before turning him off entirely. When Billy finally gets the disc off Alpha, he immediately goes back to normal. In Season 3, it's shown that King Lexion, the Masked Rider's great-grandfather, had built Alpha on the planet Edenoi in the Andromeda Galaxy. Later, without a sick Kimberly, the Power Rangers joined forces with the Masked Rider to battle Count Dregon and his army in a spin-off episode. The command center was initially in danger until Alpha destroyed an implosion generator that Rita and Goldar had placed there. However, the pair's second effort, in which they managed to get into the power chamber's basement and install Lord Zedd's explosive device, was successful. The center was eventually reduced to ruins after the explosion when they later planted one of the explosive devices on Alpha 4's torso. The inoperable remains of Alpha 4, Alpha 5's predecessor, were found. As he is eventually found alive and well within the power chamber, Alpha 5 is later proven to have weathered the events of Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. Alpha 5 continued to aid Billy while the Rangers, now known as the Power Rangers Zeo, fought the Machine Empire. Alpha had a disastrous outcome after a brief contact with the Cogs when he received an electric shock from one of the weapons. Alpha 5 accompanied Zordon when he headed for his native land of Eltar in the episode Shift into Turbo, upset that he was leaving the Rangers behind. Later, in Passing of the Torch, which saw Tanya, Tommy, Kat and Adam leave their Ranger positions, Alpha and Zordon made a brief reappearance. The original body of Alpha 5 is displayed in this episode. His part in the Power Rangers franchise is overtaken by Alpha 6, so this would be his final appearance in the franchise. In The Robot Ranger, Alpha 5 was last identified as the person who invented the robotic Turbo Rangers.
Yeah? Well, this is the new Alpha, big boy, with a new mission to oversee the destruction of the Power Rangers.
Interesting facts about Alpha 5. The only 2 Alphas who followed the original on the show were Alpha 6 and Alpha 7, even though there were other Alphas who preceded him that viewers never met, hence the 5 designation. During Power Rangers Turbo, Alpha 6 replaces Alpha 5 and makes appearances throughout the seasons in Space and Lost Galaxy, acting as the Rangers' helper on the Astro Megaship. Alpha 7 was portrayed by Richard Stephen Horvitz, who had previously voiced Alpha 6 3 times during the character's appearances. In addition to Alpha 5's voice and mannerisms, Alpha 7 seemed to physically share traits with both his predecessors and the original character. Horvitz also contributed voice acting to different iterations in numerous franchises. He provided the voice of Mantomobile in Time Force and Smogger in Lightspeed Rescue. Later, Horvitz contributed vocals to shows like Invader Zim, The Angry Beavers and others. In The Power Rangers Wild Force, Alpha 7 makes a cameo, helping the Red Rangers in the Forever Red team-up episode. Alpha 5 has a youthful charm despite being a Power Rangers advisor and thousands of years old. Being rather naive, Alpha 5 frequently fails to recognize when indoctrinated Power Rangers visit the command center. Additionally, he has a souvenir like many children, a teddy bear. Numerous episodes feature Alpha 5 walking the command center with the teddy bear. The teddy bear makes its first appearance later when Rita Repulsa is freed from her space jail in the series' opening episode. However, it's unknown who gave it to him or how long he's owned it. Tommy, played by Jason David Frank, visits the power chamber in the early hours in the episode Inner Spirit in Power Rangers Zeo, after having a recurring dream that's been causing him to lose focus. Not only does he wind down for the evening, but he also sleeps with his teddy bear. Alpha 5, wearing a nightcap and emerging from what is probably his bedroom, scans the area for the visitor while holding his teddy bear. Alpha trips over and sobs in agony as he gets wrapped in paper as a result of a computer reading. Robots that can withstand damage and keep moving are common in science fiction. Since they're machines and don't experience pain, they're more effective. But Alpha 5, in contrast, has been designed to feel pain, which makes him more human. The Rangers coordinate a citywide campaign to sweep up pollution in the first season episode Clean Up Club, which is the first time viewers witness this. Although he may have had a pre-programmed reaction to falling over on that occasion, he has responded to unpleasant events in other incidents. In the episodes Island of Illusion and Ninja Quest, he gets electrocuted, which also makes him cry. He may not feel pain exactly in the same way that a human does, but he's built to comprehend it and take lessons from it. Zordon was a warrior for good who was frequently engaged in combat with Rita and her goons 10,000 years before the occurrences of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. Alpha 4 collaborated with Zordon prior to Alpha 5, although the latter robot has been with him ever since their confrontation with Rita Repulsa left him trapped in a tube. Lord Zed dispatched Rita to invade Earth, and when Zordon learned about the power coins, he stepped in to stop her. Zordon imprisoned Rita in space while she utilized magic to trap him in a time warp after 2,000 years of conflict. Considering that Zordon exists beyond time, it's most likely Alpha 5 who assisted in devising a strategy to keep him contained in the massive plastic tube in the power chamber. Following the fight with Rita, Alpha constructed and developed the command center under Zordon's guidance and utilized the power coins to make the weapons that the Power Rangers would eventually wield. It's possible that Alpha was dispatched to deploy those weapons in position, similar to the megaship that was utilized in Power Rangers in Space, as Zordon braced for the impending confrontation with Rita by dispersing weaponry around the galaxy as well. Even though Alpha 5 refers to himself as a robot, it may be a misnomer as robots are often constrained by the programming they have been given. Instead, Alpha 5 is constantly evolving, picking up new skills from individuals around him. Alpha 5 isn't entirely dependent on his programming, but he can be reprogrammed, as seen by the numerous episodes where a villain installs malware within him to turn him evil. He uses the slang of the teens who were selected to be the Power Rangers initially in the show, calling them dudes and dudettes, but finally he abandons it and calls them by name, or collectively as Rangers. Additionally, he's repeatedly been seen seeking to learn new skills via practice rather than through programming like a human being would. He learned some dancing skills from Black Ranger Zack, while the other Rangers showed him some self-defense techniques. Alpha rarely left the command center due to the way he looked. It's occasionally shown that he departs the power chamber to assist in saving the day, and it's also made clear during the course of the series that he likes a good party. A robotic person wandering the streets of Angel Grove would attract attention just as much as the monsters that the series' main antagonists send to attack the town do. Alpha frequently ends up being alone, having only the Power Rangers and Zordon as companions. Alpha 5 decided to join the Rangers at a masked ball at the youth center in Life's a Masquerade, where he got to connect with the locals and even took home first prize in the costume contest. He also decked the power chamber with sparkling lights and handed a Santa hat to Zordon to wear in another holiday-themed episode where he genuinely gave kids presents and sang Christmas carols. However, he was able to leave the command center for Halloween because people in Angel Grove would just see him as a person wearing a costume. It must have been rather lonely to live in the power chamber with Zordon. Alpha 5 must have kept in touch with a handful of his acquaintances on other worlds. However, it's doubtful that he saw them frequently, considering how much time he spent preparing for battles against the evil forces or assisting the Power Rangers on various missions. The Rangers were the only group of people Alpha 5 interacted with, and given that they were too busy saving the world or going about their daily lives without him, it's understandable that he wishes he could spend more time with them. In reality, Rita's plan to get married to Lord Zed and the software that turned Alpha evil during that time seemed to motivate his terrible deeds. The program was designed to incite Alpha's resentment at the Rangers for shunning and abandoning him. He attempted to eliminate Zordon and take control of the command center while the malware was running. The Power Rangers eventually found and destroyed the dangerous software, but Alpha's desire to interact with people more is barely mentioned. Lerigot was among Alpha 5's closest pals, but we don't get to see him all that often in the show. Since Alpha seems to be from Edenoi and Lerigot belongs to Liaria, we don't know how or when the two met, but clearly they've been friends since Alpha's time on Edenoi. Lerigot initially appears in the Power Rangers Turbo movie when it's revealed that Divatox intends to utilize him as a wizard of great power for her own evil ends. In the movie, she abducts his wife and kids and offers to trade them to the Power Rangers in return for Lerigot. He reappeared for parts of Power Rangers Turbo 2 when the Power Rangers required a mystical boost to liberate Zordon after the movie, which is really the sole big screen endeavor deemed as an element of the TV series canon. Zordon was trapped in a time warp, but Lerigot was able to free him so that he could escape to Eltar. Lerigot's primary power is the opening of portals, so it's a little odd that Zordon hadn't had Alpha 5's friend assist him before. However, in the Power Rangers universe, many personalities appear and then vanish, just like Lerigot, who never returns to Earth after helping Zordon to escape. The Power Rangers draw their strength from the Morphin grid, which also supplies the energy needed to fuel their Zords and forge weapons. This energy also enables the Rangers to withstand hits from demons that would crush an average person. But it's not only the Rangers that have access to it. Alpha employs the Morphin grid to generate enhancements for the heroes on several occasions, but he also uses it for more commonplace tasks. He's seen appearing out of thin air, producing presents, garments, and even flowers. In fact, when he invites kids to celebrate Christmas with him at the holiday special straight-to-video Alpha's Magical Christmas, he gives them all presents made from the Morphin grid. This may appear to go against the idea of exploiting the Power Rangers' powers for one's own benefit, which Zordon warns against in the initial episodes of the show. But because Alpha isn't technically a Ranger in the traditional sense, perhaps he's exempt from that rule. Kids watching the program may find Alpha 5's shuffle and little shimmy endearing, but the performers in the costume were unable to move about very effectively, which is why Alpha's range of motion is so constrained. Similar in style to C-3PO's outfit from Star Wars, but perhaps not nearly as recognizable for sci-fi aficionados, Alpha 5's costume was constructed of several pieces that had to be put together around the actor. The actors who played Alpha over the years couldn't sit down while wearing the outfit. A portion of the outfit would need to be taken off if a scene called for Alpha to be sitting in order to position the actor. It's understandable why the robot just waves his arms around standing in front of a console for so many of his sequences. Viewing the series makes it clear that Alpha 6 can walk a little bit more easily than Alpha 5. It must have made the Alpha 5 actors envious. Although the predecessor did have a little more mobility in the legs of the garment, the concept was continued over to the suit for Alpha 6 as well. As technology advanced during the series, Alpha 5's appearance somewhat changed. He had a significantly different head shape, brighter body, and more agile fingers in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers film than he had in the TV series. However, Boom Studios chose to blend several design aspects to offer Alpha 5 a distinctive appearance for the comics when they produced the comic book franchise during the duration of the classic television series. While the somewhat longer legs are a product of his makeover in Season 3 and into the Power Rangers Zeo arc, the substantial shoulder plates of the design date back to Season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. His head and chest are described in depth in Power Rangers Turbo. Alpha's head resembled a dome during the Turbo season rather than a flying saucer, and his chest also lost some of its boxiness. While Alpha's stylized lighting flash in the center of his chest was removed in the Turbo season and replaced with what appeared to be a downward pointing arrow, the lightning bolt design similar to the Power Rangers logo was retained in the comics. The command center is destroyed in the 2016 comic book series when Alpha 5, the Rangers, Zordon, and a captive Scorpina are all inside, thanks to Rita's actions and the assistance of Scorpina, who only made brief appearances on the show. While Zordon has been preparing the Power Rangers for various horrible scenarios in a pocket realm, where they finally managed to escape the advancing monsters, Alpha 5 isn't that fortunate. The sorceress is quite imaginative. Alpha's body is repeatedly seen among the rubble of the power chamber, and it appears that the Ranger's mechanical right hand is destroyed as he's in bits. Rita sets up a new throne room where Zordon would sit and decides she likes how his dome head looks and wants to have it made into a lamp. Rita definitely enjoys her trophies despite the fact that we don't often see her in this form on the show. The setting for the 2017 film has changed. The television franchise has never used CGI to depict the robotic cameos of the Power Rangers during the whole duration of the franchise, whether it's Alpha 5 or another subsequent character who functions similarly. In order to accentuate extraterrestrial characteristics or teleportation during battle sequences throughout the program, CGI has been used with varying degrees of success. Most of the characters have been played by people dressed in suits, rather than being created digitally, perhaps due to financial constraints. Alpha 5 has also changed, and Zordon is no longer just a floating head stuck in a time warp or a tube. He is now a component of the spacecraft he inhabits. An actor doesn't always need to put on an uncomfortable outfit. Instead, this Alpha 5, played by SNL comedian Bill Hader, possesses a more natural appearance. Instead of being just a collection of plastic and metal components, he has longer limbs, some muscle definition, and blinking eyes. He is entirely created using computer graphics. Concept design for the character initially drew mixed reactions, but the new Alpha 5 blends nicely into the Power Rangers' new universe, where their armor and Zords appear to be a little more anchored in reality. The Power Rangers film starts with Zordon, the final member of his squad still living on Earth, attempting to keep Rita at bay and save the magic coins for a future generation. Of course, Zordon fighting Rita isn't the whole story. She kills the rest of the Power Rangers who were there with him, and there's a reason he doesn't move the battle to another planet. This reason is explained in a tie-in that was posted on the official movie website. Other appearances of Alpha 5. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, Peter Marie Rickson played Alpha 5 in the costume. The Alpha 5 outfit that Rickson wore was specially created for the movie, just like the other character costumes in the film. Alpha's form changes and becomes more streamlined in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. His armor seemed to be shinier and his lightning strike was changed to a downward arrow. In the 2017 remake, Alpha 5 is played by Bill Hader, who provided the character's dialogue while acting out Alpha 5's actions in a motion capture suit. Lionsgate released a chatbot application to advertise the movie, which includes a wholly unique, impromptu conversation with Alpha 5. The Alpha 5 in the movie has a biomechanical appearance and employs darker shades of red and blue colors compared to the original design, with a pair of eyes positioned apart from the head in place of a visor. Alpha 5 is Zordon's assistant, the same as in the original TV series. However, he has a less friendly connection with the teens and has doubts about their suitability as the latest Power Rangers. Some media outlets called Alpha 5's dramatically changed design from the first version strange, horrifying, or nightmarish, while others gave it mixed reviews. Both the Los Angeles Times and the International Business Times reported on the vehement opposition of the series followers to the disclosure of Alpha 5's makeover. Most journalists agree that casting Hader for the role of Alpha 5 was a good choice. Player One's Philip Martinez disagreed, claiming that the revamp complemented the Power Rangers version of the movie's visual style despite its startling aesthetics. The casting, in the opinion of Jacob Stolworthy of The Independent, was described as just strange. GQ magazine's Joshua Rivera raised his reservations about the film's creative direction and questioned if Hader would have adopted Alpha 5's traditional high-pitched fretting, Alpha 6's oddly nasal Long Island trends, or the latest Stefan joint approach to the part. Hader's dialed-down take on the role, quote, takes into account the movie's calibrated refinement of the original, said Andy Webster in his review of the movie for the New York Times. Alpha 5 is the star of Alpha's Magical Christmas, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2 direct-to-video musical Christmas special. While Alpha stays for Christmas with Zordon at the command center, the Rangers are gone helping Santa Claus prepare for the holidays at the North Pole. Even with Zordon there, Alpha still feels sad because of his isolation. After cheering Alpha up by giving him a Christmas tree, Zordon teleports some kids to the command center so they can sing Christmas carols along with Alpha. Together, they sing songs like Jingle Bells, Here We Come A-Caroling, Good King Wenceslas, and Silent Night. Tommy, Kimberly, and Billy travel to the power center in their ranger outfits after the kids depart via the magical portal, and the ensemble sings We Wish You a Merry Christmas to round off the show. Boom Studios' comic book series The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers features Alpha 5 on a regular basis. It's a contemporary parallel retelling of the same name TV series and is unrelated to any previous works or the 2017 movie reboot.
Will do, Buckaroo. Whoa, what's going on?
The most human-like robot of all time. Alpha 5 is an artificial intelligence, thus he can't get old or pass away. Alpha doesn't have a lot of offensive power, but in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Live and Power Ranger Punks, he has the ability to shock foes with electrical charges. However, this merely temporarily stuns or shocks foes with minimal damage. Alpha, according to Power Ranger Punks, is skilled at making medicines and potions. His abilities rival those of Babu and Rita, as seen by the creation of the anti-punk remedy from the Singing Squash episode. His on-screen counterpart made an effort to combat Ivan Ooze in a more conventional way, but was unsuccessful. Additionally, he was the only designer of the first command center and later the power chamber. If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button, share and comment below about which other series, movies, characters or video games you'd like us to explore or review, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.